I think there's no Brentford fan out there that won't be grateful for the 33 goals that he scored in the season, and he scored the penalty in the playoff final as well. There's been kind of points in the season where I think he's disrespected the club and disrespected the fans a lot. I think he sort of owes us for giving him this platform, and we've given it to him, and all of a sudden it kind of seems that he's disrespecting us and now kind of wants to move forward onto something else. He's only been in there for a year.
It's becoming a big story as the season approaches. Ivan Toney's future, is he going to stay at Brentford? Because he seems to be wanted, Andy, by Newcastle, Leeds and Man United. I was listening to Mark Goldbridge on the transfer hub last night on talkSPORT, saying, Brentford will want 40 million. That's more than United will get for Ronaldo if he's sold. The drop-off in terms of talent is big. Is that the level of striker someone like Man United should be looking at? So he wasn't happy with it. And I mean, how do you see? Do you think Ivan Toney stays at Brentford or goes, or what's he worth?
I think there would be potential suitors for him. I don't know if it's a club with United's aspirations right now. I'm not sure how much he would significantly improve them, or is he better than Marcus Rashford? Well, he's a different type of striker, of course. If Marcus Rashford, after a pre-season and a lot of love and a lot of encouragement from Ten Hag, can find his game and his confidence, then I would suggest that Ivan Toney wouldn't be the perfect foil for him. But do I like him? Yeah. I think from what I saw last season, I think he can be a threat. I thought his partnership with Mbeumo was very, very good at times. Very different. Caught a lot of teams cold last time out because I hadn't seen much of them before. The intrigue again and the challenge for him this season is, can he go and do it? Can he do it again? Can he go and show that he can be a proper, consistent Premier League player? Then maybe the big teams will really go for him.
And we've got to remember that Brentford's have a say in all of this because he's very much under contract with them. And Drive Time Dan is a Brentford fan, aren't you?
I am indeed.
Okay, so I've heard these stories and I've heard little bits come out on air as well about you, how you're not happy that Erickson has kind of ignored you and gone off to Manchester United, and you kind of feel the same sort of way about Ivan Toney, that he should be staying at Brentford. Just outline exactly how you feel about it.
Well, I mean, when we talk about Ivan Toney, I mean, you mentioned there about kind of Brentford's aspirations and Man United's aspirations being different at this moment in time. I think that with Brentford, we've been on a journey since we've been in League Two. And Ivan Toney joined us when we were in the Championship. We just lost the playoff final. We just lost Ollie Watkins and Said Benrahma. And he joined us to kind of get us to that level above, get us to the Premier League, which he ended up doing. And I think there's no Brentford fan out there that won't be grateful for the 33 goals that he scored in the season. And, he scored the penalty in the playoff final as well. But I've kind of noticed little things this season where he almost seems to become a bit arrogant. And, he's been in the Premier League for a year. He played for Newcastle for a little bit, kind of didn't get his shot there, wasn't good enough to play for Newcastle in the Premier League at that moment in time. But he's come to Brentford, we've got there, and, there's been kind of points in the season where I think he's disrespected the club and disrespected the fans a lot.
So not a good arrogance, you're thinking the arrogance that infuriates?
Yeah, absolutely. There was the incident in Dubai where he was on the boat and kind of said some inappropriate language about the club. He came out and apologised for that, and I think kind of Brentford fans can, we let that slide a little bit. He disrespected us, but we'll kind of move on from that. But he did it again when he was in his car in London somewhere, and he said he played for a little club or something like that. And it's like, you've come to us. We've offered you that platform to get you to the Premier League. He was at Peterborough before, and obviously you know him quite well. He played really well for you lot, but I just think he needs to settle down a little bit. And I think he sort of owes us for giving him this platform, and we've given it to him. And all of a sudden, it kind of seems that he's disrespecting us and now kind of wants to move forward onto something else. He's only been in there for a year.
So do you want him to go because of this disrespect, or do you want him to stay because it's an unfinished job that he's done?
I think it's an unfinished job. I'd love him to stay. Like, as I said, I'll always be forever grateful for the goals he scored in the Championship, and he scored 12 last year. I think he got 5 assists as well. I'll always be grateful for that. I think he's a top player and could move up to that level above. But right now, I don't think he's there yet. And I don't think kind of he should have been behaving last season in the way that he did.
Interesting stuff, Dan.
It is. And what about the Erickson one? Because this one, I did take issue with you on this one. I don't get this at all. He saved you from relegation, basically.
He didn't.
Well, he did, didn't he?
He didn't save us from relegation.
Have a look at the form before he came and then look at the form
But you
after.
look at the teams we played during that time. We played Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal. I can't remember. We played some top teams, Wolves. These really good teams. We're a team that have never been in the Premier League before. We've had hardly any Premier League experience. And we were kind of on a losing streak, weren't playing all that well, but we were playing some top teams. Then he came in and we played Burnley, Watford, Norwich. We played the teams that have gone down. So I don't think it's so much, Erickson coming in to save us. I almost think it's a little bit disrespectful to the other players to say that it's just Erickson that's done that, because these are the same players that beat Arsenal on the opening day, drew 3-3 with Liverpool. We're still kind of in and around it.
He definitely added something, Dan, that you didn't have.
Absolutely.
You had that spell where you looked like you were plummeting, and you looked like you were, and then it wasn't long after that when he arrived that all of a sudden things started to work and things started to change. And he had, and he gave your team something that wasn't there prior to his arrival. I think that bit of class, that killer pass, that brilliant delivery, dropping it on a sixpence for someone to go and knock it in the net. I didn't see too much of that prior to him coming.
I agree, and I think he added a bit more directness to our play. We were very much sort of looked a bit kind of not unsure what we were doing in the final third. I can understand that, but I do. People say we were plummeting, but you look at the teams we're facing. We're a club that's never been in the Premier League before. We're playing some of the best teams in Europe, and we've lost to them. And then Ericsson's come in, and it just so happens that we're now starting to play the teams that are getting relegated, and we beat the teams in and around us, which you have to do to stay up. And I don't think that's just down to Erickson.
I can't have that at all. But I'll tell you why. Because when you're on that losing streak, which Brentford were, there's no denying that. That then impacts on the following games. Now, he's come in at that time. His first game was at Norwich. I was there, and he was brilliant. It was amazing to see him playing for a start. And I was working the day he had the heart failure, and it was harrowing. So to see him actually play live and play so well, and the smile on his face was fantastic. But that losing form could have continued, but he came in and I feel he transformed that. We'll probably never agree on this, but I don't feel he owes you anything. I think he's the best player Brentford have ever had and they're ever likely to have, and he should be acknowledged and treated as such. With Ivan Toney, does he owe Brentford anything is a really big question. I think what he owes Brentford is, if nobody comes in and agrees a fee with Brentford to take him off your hands, then he owes it to Brentford to not angle for a move because he's under a big contract.
That's exactly right.
You stay there. But if he does go, that means Brentford have accepted a fee. So Brentford want him to go because they want that money. So Brentford are getting something out of it anyway. They will also, they'll get the transfer fee. There might be a sell-on clause that they include when they sell him as well, just in case. So they'll get that money as well. I don't quite know what Ivan Toney owes if Brentford decide to sell him. I don't get that.
I can understand that. I think he owes us a bit more respect because, the way he behaved throughout last season, I think there was times when I've watched him, I go home and away regularly. I went to 36 games last year at Brentford, which is pretty good going, if I say so.
It's not bad,
myself. It's not bad.
Shouldn't you be working on a Saturday?
I probably should, really. But I think it's one of them things where, I've seen him kind of throw his hands up in the air at times with other players, and I think he's a magnificent player. He's really, really, really good. But I just think at times show a bit more kind of class, and the way he behaved on the boat, the way he behaved in the car, and the things he was saying. I just think, as a Brentford fan, as a fan who's spending a lot of my income on supporting the club and supporting him, I think he owes it to me a little bit not to say them things about the club and to be a bit more respectful about the club.
Dan, I think that what he's absolutely 100% correct when he just said what he really owes you is this season to get out there from the get-go and get right in the thick of it and be a handful again and be a problem for opposing defences.
Unless Brentford accept a fee for it.
If Brentford take the money, then fair dues. Don't forget, this is a guy that has seen others from your club move on to progress and to further their careers. Your club will be in that kind of bracket, I'm afraid. It's as simple as that. But there is a way to go about it. It's not always straightforward for players. It's not always as you see and what seems on the face of it. But the biggest disappointment for me with Ivan Toney would be if he starts with a strop and hardly breaks out of a canter for the first half a dozen, 8-10 games. That would be a big surprise and a real shock, I think, and a disappointment.
I think as well, he's signed a contract till 2025, which means he's shown intent. He wants to kind of be part of this journey with Brentford. So I think that, if we come in and accept an offer, that's perfectly fine. And, it takes two to tango. Like if we come in and accept it and he wants to go, that's fine. I get that. But if he's shown this intent to sign until 2026 or 2025, then I think he owes it to us, as Aid exactly said rightly, to put in as best a performance he possibly can throughout the season.
Dan, thank you very much. I've just had contact with somebody who knows Ivan Toney very well. Says Toney isn't arrogant, but he is perhaps naive to certain situations. I think the second video, I don't know if you saw the second video For me, that was somebody who was aware of what he'd done wrong in the first one, hence his apology. And with the second video, I think he was quite keen not to come across as like this big, I'm a Premier League player. But at the same time, what he did was he kind of played down Brentford, which the Brentford fans didn't like. So it felt to me like he was in a no-win situation because of the first video.
Yeah.
Hence why you could see how naive he was in that situation. You've got to remember, this is somebody who is from Northampton, started at Northampton, got a big move to Newcastle where it didn't work out. Rafa didn't fancy him, so off he went. Several loan moves, some worked out, some didn't. Goes back to League One.
Yeah.
So it's kind of been a stop-start career for him. And then all of a sudden he's burst into the Premier League, and I thot he did well last season.
How many did he get? Did he get, what did he get, 12?
Something like 13, 14, I think. Yeah, I'll have a check. He was on pens as well, and they count, by the way. So
14
goals,
told,
yeah. So I think that's decent. For somebody who was in League One 2 years ago to get that many goals, I think is decent. But does Ivan Toney owe Brentford anything, and is he good enough for Manchester United?